Hey guys, so welcome back to Indirect Knowledge. So this tarot card reading is for Madelyn, and she's been a little bit concerned about the love of her life. She wants to know if he's coming back around into her life or not. And we've done a couple of readings already for her, and signals indicated yes. But let's see if we can get some more information from Madelyn. Give her a little bit more peace of mind. She's been a little upset lately, so I never like to see anyone upset. So let's see what we can figure out. Okay, so since we've done this before for Madelyn, she kind of knows the process. So we start with the past, present, future, get some perspective around the situation. And of course, things change all the time, so that's going to update things. Then we look at really where the situation is, as far as the current situation is now, like in terms of really where the energy is at. Next, we look at really where her energy is at. And we look at where the outcome is and where the answer to the outcome lies. So the first card is this one here. This is a 5 in the Major Arcana, which is the Hierophant card. The Hierophant represents traditions. It represents the past. It represents foundation. It represents things that we're connected to as far as our identity. So like, for example, this is of course talking about the past. Maybe it's about our religion. Maybe it's about just kind of our cultural values, like how we grew up. Depending on what kind of a household you grew up under would determine a lot about who you are as a person, how you see the world, all that good stuff. And so we see a little bit of, a lot of times when this card comes up, it's really a reminder of getting us back to our roots. You know, like if you grew up with the roots of, like, say, simple living and high thinking, where, you know, everything was more about, you know, buying what you need, not necessarily what you want. Or, you know, or it could be the opposite. It could be someone that grew up in a very wealthy household or something that really had everything. And so they're used to getting whatever they want. And so that's part of their norm, part of their background. And then say, for example, they grow up or they become an adult. And then maybe they realize, hey, wait a minute, I'm not really able to have everything I want. So their situation changes. Anyway, this is really kind of this place of culture, tradition, religion. It's where our ideas of love stem from. It teaches us really valuing more like the spiritual over, like, say, materialism and things that are really more superficial. So it's really having to do a lot with that. So, so that's sort of like something to consider. Like, for example, if you guys have two totally different backgrounds, maybe the idea here is to really start seeing things maybe through his lenses, like his backdrop, and then you can kind of get inside of his head better. If you guys come from very similar backgrounds, maybe it's really about exploring kind of your commonality in that regard, like really where you guys happen to be at mentally. Now, in the present phase, we have the Page of Cups, and this is the Page of Cups here. Pages are messengers. Cups are very emotional, and it's a water, so it's really got kind of that Aquarius kind of energy to it, but it's really about fluidity, things coming and going, moving, you know, nothing staying the same. And that 5 that we had with the Hierophant, that's sort of saying the same thing in a lot of ways, you know, like change is happening. 5's all about change, even though it's changing from, like, say, like the traditional past, things where we've come from to where we're more headed toward. And this is really about emotions. And so we see this very obviously, you know, for Madelyn, this was kind of like this is emotional makeup, this emotional side. And she's really looking at that one relationship, that one cup, and she's very intuitive about it. And so her emotions and things, she's empathic about it. So it's really coming out of her and stuff. Now in the future, like in terms of where we're headed at with this relationship and everything, kind of where she's headed at more. So we have the 0 in the major arcana, which is actually, it's if you look at this footloose and fancy free person. Now the tarot defines this. It doesn't really define it, but labels it as really the Fool, and it's really an archetype in this story that we see happening all around us all the time. So if we're watching like a book, if we're reading a book or something, or we're watching a movie or something like that, this is really the person that is sort of naive. They're wanting to go it alone. They're wanting to kind of get out on their own, kind of do their own thing, kind of make a name for themselves, that kind of thing. So even though it's labeled the Fool, it's not that this person is necessarily foolish. It's just maybe that they're a little less experienced with things, and they just don't really have the full insight to be able to see things that maybe other people see. But the good thing about this card is that it gives them the ability to do things, to take action, to do things that maybe a lot of other people wouldn't do, or might be too afraid to do, or too scared. So because of that, it gives us a little bit of inner strength and a little determination. And so this is a determination card in this particular spread. It just tells us that Madelyn's determination and her wherewithal increases, and that it becomes more exponential. Now we have the Sun in that card as well, and it's a really good card. So happier days are ahead. So that's really positive outlook, just like what we've said in the past with some of these other readings we've done for her. Let's look at really where the energy surrounding that Page of Cups is. We said pages are messengers. This is an emotional message. Those are the things that are coming up. And though we can kind of get a sense of really what that card represents already, let's look a little bit deeper at it. And when we do, we actually get the 3 of Wands. And that 3 of Wands is this card here. You can see the Roman numeral 3 there, and the 3 wands, and the person looking out into the vast expanse of the world. This is a card where we start to be more getting feedback from other people. It's where we get a lot of the answers from. It's like where we start to ask people questions, start to do a little discerning for ourselves, like what's really going on, that kind of thing. When we talk to other people, it sort of validates for us kind of what's going on. It might be that this person has a financial interest vested in our idea. It could be a lot of different things, but the overall thing is that people tend to gravitate toward people that might know more, or that might be able to give them the answer, or be able to give them some insights around the situation and all. And so that's sort of our searching mechanism. And oftentimes this happens outside of us. Instead of us looking on the inside for answers, or really asking ourselves, taking a few minutes to stop and say, what is really going on here? Because sometimes our own intuition is really the thing that's the most advantageous for us. But oftentimes, especially if we're younger, we tend to look outside of ourselves for answers. We'll start to ask other people like what their thoughts are, what their ideas are, these kind of things. And that's what this number 3 card is really a lot about. It's really about getting feedback from other people, trying to learn more about the situation, that kind of thing. So it's really a positive thing. It's about involving others in order to get, kind of a bigger picture or clearer picture of what's really going on, which is a really good idea. Unfortunately, as we get older, sometimes we lose sight of that. And instead we start to rely on our own intuition, our own ideas, our own thinking, and we kind of eschew those ideas and thinking and thoughts and perspectives of other people. So there's that pro and con there. So my advice to people, if you're watching this, don't be afraid to look at other people for advice, or to get their perspective or their things. Even if you have a pretty, good perspective on things, and, that has carried you well in life, it's still not a bad idea every now and then just to get someone else's perspective, because that might be able to trigger something in you to give you some more perspective. But that's sort of an aside here. Now, let's look at where the energy from Madelyn is. Again, we come into the Queens. In this case, it's the Queen of Pentacles. Pentacles is about resources. It's about groundedness. It's about having the things that we need. It's about money and all those good things. And the Queen is really about influence. And influence just means that, we're able to kind of, I don't want to say manipulate or deceive, but it's really where we're able to kind of get what we want, through whatever means necessary. And the queen is able to really get what she wants, through her power, through her influence, through her charm, through her wit. And this is really representative in this particular spread of where Madelyn is. She's able to kind of influence things, get what she wants, talk people into things, tell people whatever she needs to do. And that will be the case here with Dylan. She has more of an influence on him than he has over himself. And so let's look at really where our outcome is with all of this. So when we're talking about two people, when we're talking about two people or two of anything, it's really about balance in many regards. And sometimes in relationships, that's what we really balance. And that's what's really going on in this particular reading also. It's just telling us that, we need to balance our time wisely. So it's okay to be, in love with someone. It's okay to pursue that person. It doesn't matter if you're male or female or anything in between. It just really doesn't matter. What it is that you're looking for is this. But sometimes we can't let something just solely take us in one particular direction without, giving any kind of attention to anything else. So there's other things in our life that require attention. And so we have to kind of keep a fine balance between, where our heart's desire is and really where our practical matters remain. And that's the case with this particular card. So really the outcome is that you're going to be able to have your cake and eat it too, basically, which is a really good thing. But you have to just, this is a card about decision making also. It just means, okay, well, how am I going to spend my time? What course of action am I going to take? And how am I going to be able to utilize that action in the best way possible to benefit myself and to benefit those around me? So sometimes, it's hard to really know, what's coming about and stuff, especially when we're feeling a certain way in the present moment. And we see that present moment thinking with that Page of Cups being the very emotional side of our nature. However, we know that is leaving us here relatively soon. It looks like maybe within the next month or so, things will start to shift. So, what is really the answer to this, or the solution to this balance? In other words, getting the boy, getting the guy, the future husband, whatever, and, going on with our life, as normal. Well, the key to that is the Five of Cups. Well, the Five of Cups, we see a person who's a little bit sad. They're crying over their spouse and stuff, but they're also looking away. And there we have that five. We started with a five in this tarot spread. That was with the Hierophant. That was with the past. And when we see what the answer is, we have to sometimes go back to the past to be able to see, what the solution truly is. And that's the case with this. That's what the answer card is telling us here. So it asks us to really stop being so emotional right now and look in another direction for the answer, for happiness. In other words, you have to get over hurt, pick up what's remaining for you, and then carry on. There may be a little bit of emotional disappointment at first, maybe a little bit of depression, maybe a little bit of anger, but keep in mind that in this particular spread, because we know the outcome already, which is a positive outcome, which means, yeah, you and Dylan be okay. With this here, it's really these emotions and everything that you're feeling right now, Madelyn, is really exaggerated. I'm not saying that you're exaggerating them yourself. It's not that at all. What I am saying, though, is that just the emotions, because of the, you can call it cosmic energy, or just, what moon phases. I mean, there's a lot of different, spiritual variables that factor in to the way that you're feeling right now. But that's causing these exaggerated or heightened emotional states to occur within you. And that's where you're feeling this pain. That's where you're feeling this suffering. That's where you're feeling this heartache. And it's because of these energies that are, somewhat chaotic right now. But as we see, like in the near future, within the next month or so, things are going to balance out for you. you're going to go back to being your footloose free self and very happy and good natured, and maybe even like life of the party, or you'll have your social group and everything like that. And of course, you'll have the guy as well, and you'll be the one having the influence over everything. So that's still kind of in alignment with where we've seen this thing at already. I would say to you, probably as far as the answer goes, is kind of look back to tradition, look back to the past and everything, look back to everything that we talked about with this card here, because a lot of your answers are going to be here. So if you go back to where the relationship was once upon a time, that's where you're going to really start to find a lot of your hope, a lot of your answers, a lot of your relief. That's where the secret lies. And so I hope this helps you. I think it's a very telling tarot reading, to be perfectly honest with you. I think there's a lot of things to be gleaned from this particular tarot reading, just in general about life and everything that it has to tell us. And for you, my dear, it looks like you and him will be together relatively soon, over the coming months. But in the meantime, this is really, just a process phase for you. These things are going to pass. You're going to start to feel a lot better here soon. And you're really going to start to come up with some answers and solutions and things, that you'll glean from some of the, maybe where you guys have been at relationally in the past and those kind of things. So as that happens, I want you to just kind of think about this, and then you'll start to see these things sort of unfold. If you do need anything, though, let me know, and let me know. I'm always here for you. And I tell you guys this all the time. As your tarot coach, really don't ever worry about reaching out to me. This is my service. This is really, as a monk, we do a lot of service work, and this is really one of my big service projects that I'm doing now these days. So if you have a concern, you have questions or anything like that, you're always free and welcome to reach out to me. It's never an issue, and so you don't ever have to worry about bothering me or anything like that. There's really honestly no bother. I love all of you guys, and I'm always here for you. So just realize you're never alone, and whatever I can do to help, that's within my power, I definitely will. So that's pretty much it. So guys, I'm still working on sort of this donation needs list and all I've talked about in other videos, just where we're trying to get kind of a list together to kind of give you guys perspective on what these service projects are that we actually do here, so that if you do feel like supporting anything, you can do it either through donation, which is really probably the easiest way to do it, or if you want to donate actual goods or something like that, you'll be able to do it that way too. But for those of you, in the present moment watching this, that just want to help support us monks and kind of helping us spread love for God to others, and do these spiritual disciplines and service projects and everything, you're more than welcome to donate, so long as it's from the heart. And you just simply go to helpbydonating.com. The website is www.helpbydonating.com. And then from there, you can just give a donation, whatever's in your heart. All right, guys, that's pretty much it for today. If you guys need anything, of course, reach out to me. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hit that bell notification. And every time we come on, if you have questions or anything like that you'd like answered, want me to do a reading for you, no worries. You can always approach me at that time. Thanks so much, and I will see you guys on the next episode of Indirect Knowledge.